Hello and welcome back. Today we're diving into a chapter that explores the tumultuous, brilliant, and often disorienting world of the 20th century. This period saw radical transformations in art, music, literature, philosophy, politics, and technology, all under the umbrella of a powerful cultural movement, modernism. So what is modernism? What caused it? And why does it matter? Let's take a deep breath and jump in. And let's start with our first question. What is modernism? Because it isn't just a style, it's a mindset. At its core, modernism reflects the disillusionment, experimentation, and urgency that defined the 20th century. Artists and thinkers questioned everything: tradition, beauty, morality, even truth itself. The spark? The Industrial Revolution may have launched the shift, but it was World War I that truly shattered the old world order. The unimaginable violence of trench warfare paired with rapid industrialization left many people feeling alienated and disoriented. The 20th century offered faster machines, greater progress, and yet more destruction than ever before. The result? A cultural break from the past. Artists stopped trying to imitate classical forms and started asking, what happens when tradition fails us? What can we build from the ruins? Modernism answers with innovation, fragmentation, abstraction, and honesty. So let's talk about this new visual language of modern art. Visual artists turned away from realism and embraced abstraction and distortion. Think of Pablo Picasso, especially his groundbreaking work Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, a piece that shattered Renaissance perspective and blended African influence with Cubist form. Cubism, Futurism, Expressionism, Dada, Surrealism, these were not just art movements, they were rebellions against the ordinary. They reflected anxiety, absurdity, and the subconscious. For example, Marcel Duchamp's fountain was literally a urinal, challenging what art even is. Frida Kahlo painted her inner life and physical pain with searing intensity. And later, Jackson Pollock's drip paintings celebrated process over product, chaos over control. Modern art didn't ask you to admire it. It asked you to engage with it. And let's look at the fractured voices of modern literature, because in literature, modernism broke the rules of storytelling. Writers played with time, perspective, and narrative structure. In James Joyce's Ulysses, a novel that compresses a single day in Dublin into 700 pages of stream of consciousness, mythology, and linguistic experimentation. Or Virginia Woolf, whose novel Mrs. Dalloway explores the interior lives of its characters in real time, blurring memory, perception, and reality. And of course, T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, a poem that reflects the fragmentation of a post-war world using ancient myths, multiple languages, and cultural collage. These authors weren't interested in tidy plots. They wanted to reflect the chaos of modern life, the noise of the inner mind, and the confusion of the modern self. Modern music is a break from harmony. Modernist composers also challenge musical conventions. Gone were the grand symphonies and balanced harmonies of the 18th and 19th centuries. In their place came atonality, dissonance, and unpredictable rhythms. Stravinsky's The Rite of Spring caused a riot at the 1913 premiere. It was that radical. Its pounding rhythms and jarring melodies stunned audiences who were used to elegance and order. Schoenberg developed the 12-tone system where all notes are treated equally, eliminating the idea of a central key. This created music that sounded chaotic but followed strict internal logic. The goal? Not to soothe, but to express, even if that expression was unsettling. Modernism also shaped the way people thought about truth and self. Philosophers like Friedrich Nietzsche had already declared that God is dead, not as a literal statement, but as a recognition that old frameworks were collapsing. Thinkers like Sigmund Freud introduced the unconscious mind, suggesting that people are driven by hidden impulses, not just rational thought. Meanwhile, existentialists like Jean-Paul Sartre argued that life has no inherent meaning, and it's up to each person to create their own purpose. This emphasis on the individual, on choice, freedom, and alienation became central to modernist thought. Let's not forget, modernism developed in a century defined by 2 world wars, the Holocaust, the atomic bomb, and massive political upheaval. For many, the old rules could no longer explain the world. Artists responded not with nostalgia, but with experimentation. They reflected loss, confusion, rage, and resilience, creating a language for a new kind of reality. So what do we do with modernism? For many students, modernism can feel difficult, fragmented, uncomfortable, even strange. But that's the point. Modernism challenges you to see beauty in brokenness, find meaning in ambiguity, embrace complexity rather than hide from it. In a world that often feels disjointed, modernism teaches us to ask better questions, not just accept simple answers. So that's it for right now. As you read this week's readings and watch our videos and review our presentations, reflect on how the 20th century forced us to reimagine what it means to be human. Until next time, keep thinking boldly and keep unfolding the human story.